What's going on, everybody? Gunnar here, and today I just want to show you guys a really super simple fast popper pattern. It's kind of like a flash tail popper. We're going to use Flymen Fishing Company's new Faux Bucktail kind of as our wing support for all that flash, get that nice kind of tapered synthetic look to it. And I just want to field a few questions real quick about the Faux Bucktail because it's a new product and people have questions. So this is a tapered synthetic, so you're basically getting, you have less stiffness at the tips. They're going to have more movement. You're mimicking that bucktail natural material property in a synthetic. That's what's cool about it. Now, this is 6 inches long. I have a box of about 50 bucktails right here. I can guarantee you maybe one is 6 inches long. So that's the coolest part, because you get premium length fibers for pike flies, musky flies, saltwater flies, and not only that, but it's 100% usable. Like, this is probably equal to 3 bucktails worth of bucktail at 6 inches. I can't find that. I personally have never been able to get bucktail at that length in this quality. So those are some cool things about it. That's why it's cool to me. It's 100% usable, premium length, and it mimics a natural fiber. Now, we're gonna show you guys, or at least I am, I'm gonna show you guys a really simple way. This is on the Chunky Dunker tutorial to flare this material, right? And it's a subtle flare. This is, a 7-inch popper. I don't need a ton of bulk in this popper. There's not a reverse tie or hollow tie or anything that would be, I don't know, necessarily a stumbling block for you as a tire. We're just going to use Flashabou minnow body, fold it over, doubled over itself to build bulk and flare this material to help support, obviously, our Flashabou, our Flashabou and all that good stuff. So, first and foremost, 2/0 Ahrex. Light predator stinger, barbless. You can obviously use barbed if you want. You can also bump it up to a 4/0 and a size large. Flymen double barrel popper and chartreuse. And you can obviously paint these. They hold color really well and stuff like that, but I'm not going to deal with any of that. Now, I have a Zud Bubbler leg puller, which I highly recommend for putting legs on this. You can see I got some perfect rubber in here from Hedron. And we're going to be doing that. But another thing is I like to use the Zud Bubbler puller to make the initial hole in the popper body, right? These don't have a hole. It has a guide for you to make a hole, which is really nice. And I like to use this over like a bodkin because it's a really wide gauge wire. So it makes a really wide hole for putting popper bodies on, say, 2/0 and 4/0 and 6/0 and all these things where you need a wide hole. So now I'm just going to heat this up. And it's going to get a really dark, nasty residue on it, but I'm not too worried about it. You can wipe it with like a Kleenex if you don't want that on there. And then I kind of just blindly push it through, to be honest with you. And then because we're going to have some reverse tied craft fur at the back of this, I want to make sure I have a nice wide hole back here. So I'm just throwing my scissors in there. And I'm really just going to help widen that up. So we got a nice, really wide back hole. It should slip over, basically, good to go. So you can test where you need it. That's the beauty of this, and that's where we're going to start our thread. So I know not to go in front of that point. Take that back off for tying. And I'm going to go back to the hook point, because that's where the bend on this hook starts. So you can gauge that on your own, but that's where the bend on this 2/0 light predator stinger starts. And because the Faux Bucktail is slippery, it's really slick, and we're going to have a Flashabou minnow body, or just Flashabou, Flashabou minnow body cord hanging off the back kind of as a dam. I'm going to put just a little material bump right here. I'm spinning my thread to make it round so I can build a nice kind of aggressive dam right here. And you can also spin your thread to add friction when you're tying onto that slick material, right? Basically, friction, all you have to worry about is the mass and your coefficient of friction. And your coefficient of friction is how basically the texture, how smooth or rough it is. The rougher something is, the more friction it has, right? And the mass of that being applied is simply how hard you're pulling with your thread. So in order to increase friction on a material, by spinning your thread, you're taking something that's flat and smooth and you're spiraling it and giving it a rougher edge, which makes it grippier, right? That's something that Blaine Chocolate talks about pretty frequently when he's doing T-bones and stuff. It's just spinning your thread to give it more grip. So I flared that minnow body. I'm gonna come in, catch it on top of my thread wraps here. Move that up a little bit. Put down a little thread base. Flare it open again, and this is gonna give you a nice little intense core of Flashabou, because the bucktail is going to be flared, right? The faux bucktail is going to be flared. It's going to support that Flashabou, and so now we kind of have like an inner workings of a fly inside of that. It's kind of like an illusion, like you have this internal core flash like the belly of a fish, but it's inside your hollow fly, so you have bulk without having to, you know, add bulk. So basically it helps sparsen the fly up while giving it the illusion of having kind of more material on it than it does. And I'm going to come in and hit that with some super, just because this is going to be a nice pike bug slash trophy smallmouth slash whatever. So I'm coming in with a nice little grouping of faux bucktail. I'm going to pull out these tips, make them uneven so I get a nice teardrop kind of taper to my material. And then I'm going to use that nearly at full length. So I put a taper into it, right? So I have some fibers that are short, which are going to have longer butts, some fibers that are long. You want to grab those longest butts. And that's going to taper perfectly with our Magnum Flashabou. We're going to come in with Magnum Flashabou, but it's cut in half. And you can see now I got a spun thread, I have that material bump, and that faux bucktail just went on perfectly, right? And it's because we're kind of sandwiching it between those two materials with a nice spun grippy thread, and you can see that's going to give that a little bit of life, flare, bulk, and it's just gonna look nice. Come in, gonna hit the underside. Actually, we'll match our lengths here. So I'm gonna put a taper into this white faux bucktail and then just match it so that they're the same length. So I know where to trim this at. Come in here, split my hook point with my fingers, try not to hook myself. I'm working in the shadow because I got my tying lamp off. And then just hit that with some good thread pressure. And that's, you know, another reason to consider trying like a faux bucktail, this kind of synthetic, is if you're fishing for pike, you're fishing for musky, you know, those you know, they're called toothy critters for a reason. And part of that reason is because they're, you know, okay, that was a dumb, don't quote me on that. But they obviously have teeth, right? Sharp teeth, and they will, you know, they will destroy flies if you're not careful, if you're not tying with proper technique and stuff. And bucktail being a natural material, it's prone to being bit off. It's prone to, you know, failing after a certain number of fish, and there's nothing you can really do about that. And so especially on you know, a popper fly or something like this, being able to easily and quickly substitute for that natural material with a synthetic that's going to mimic the action, mimic a lot of the properties without absorbing any water, and with being more resistant to bite-offs, there's really quite a bit of a benefit to that, just because you get a more durable fly. So we came in with Magnum on top, cut in half and tapered, and then we're coming in with a flash material called Polar Flash. And from what I can tell, it's got a slight crinkle to it, so it reflects a little bit more light, and it has kind of this nylon, microlon texture to it, so it's really nice and thin. And it bleeds extremely well into this kind of coarser faux bucktail material, and it really helps fill it up. So you can see that was just like a modified V, half on one side, half on the other. I flipped it over so we're splitting that hook point, trying to reduce material from tangling on that. Then I'm just going to come up, and we're going to do a nice bulleted reversed craft for a collar, which is why we have that nice kind of wide hole in this popper head to slip over top of that. And so you see we have like a flash fly. We have just a synthetic Flashabou tail. We have that Flashabou core from the minnow body. We got obviously our top wing. We have barring going on in the back, a little bit of darkness, and that barring is fluorescent, which is, I don't know, it's super cool, right? And so that's all good stuff. It's all really cool, simple. You have a nice kind of short fly. You don't want to make poppers super long because you'll get a lot of tail strikes, so having that nice wide gap up front paired with that large head, and it's like a 7-inch fly. It's kind of like the perfect popper size. So gonna hit this with super glue. We'll come in and reverse tie our craft fur and get this popper head on here. So one thing that you want to do with the craft fur is I've left quite a bit of the under fur in, not all of it, but like I'm preening out maybe the bottom inch, and I want those shorter fibers to really help bulking this up. I want a nice kind of fat collar silhouette on here, and we're going to leave these butts in, and it's kind of like doing a bulkhead tie. If you're familiar with Popovic's flies, it's kind of like doing a bulkhead. We're going to leave those butts in here to support this when we give that kind of a bulleted cone shape to it when we flip that over. Oh, get out of there, Flashabou. And then to help protect that, I'm going to hit my thread with some super glue. I'm going to wrap it just around that thread base and force this back with a hollowed out pen. And then give that a clean little bullet. So now you can see we have that support and lift from leaving in those craft fur butts, right, while having the shorter fibers to kind of build our height and our bulk. So you get a really nice bulky collar, but again, it's a synthetic, not going to hold or trap water or anything. It's going to be a really light Flashabou tail bug, super durable. Come over, we got a perfect amount. I don't know if you can see the hook eye right there. Turn the bug, you see that hook eye? Perfect amount, good to go. Now one thing that you want to do is I don't want the popper body to slide around on that hook shank, right? I don't want that to be super slippery. So I'm going to reattach my thread up here, and I'm going to take some of my craft fur butts, which I discarded, and I'm basically just going to grab kind of a wad of them and then just tie them onto this hook shank. And it's so that when we put some super glue down, that popper body has something to grab onto and kind of adhere to, so we don't just have this super thin, wire that's not really filling up our popper body core. But you also got to be careful, because now that the glue has something to kind of soak into, it's going to dry a little bit quicker. So when you push this head over, you're going to kind of have a one shot opportunity at this. So just going to clear that up. Make sure this goes over nice, smooth, perfect, no fuss. Come in, I like to use a gel super glue for the popper bodies. Gives you just a little bit more working time to get it on there. Oh, to kind of like set up inside the nose. Okay, that's loaded with glue. Moment of truth. Boom, good to go. Whatcha? So I'm gonna come in. We're gonna hit this with some 6mm Flymen dragon eyes. They fit perfectly into these recessed eye holes, right? And that's all for durability, because you kind of protect the edge of those eyes from teeth. They have a place to sit, and then you can fill those little pockets with either like a head cement or a UV resin. And coat those and kind of epoxy them into place so that your eyes don't ever come off your popper. Which is pretty sweet. And they fit perfectly in there, which gives you, a lot of times popper bodies are round, and when you try to put a flat eye on a round surface, you obviously lose surface area contact, which is, basically the main component to adhering eyes to something, is having a nice flat surface. And so that recessed eye inside a round body gives you a super flat surface to adhere that eye to. So another reason why they end up being so durable. So it's done. You know what I'm saying? It's good to go. Now I'm going to come in and put some rubber legs on here. These are perfect rubber legs, or perfect rubber from Hedron. And I don't know if other rubber legs are buoyant, but these are. And I think that's super cool for a popper body. And you can see I'm going to do 2 locations. And what that does is just helps separate those legs from the water. These are supposed to look like fin rays and stuff, right? So when you got a fish up on the surface, it's got its pectoral fins out, and those little rays that control that fin position, that's all you're really trying to imitate, is just kind of like fins or spines or something to indicate just movement, like a fish is just up there flopping around. So I'm gonna heat this up again, push this through in 2 locations, and pull those legs through, and we're yeah, that'll be that. You can obviously go through and coat this. I believe Loon Outdoors makes a soft head in clear, which is like a brushable kind of like head cement, and that was something I saw Fly Fish Food do to one of their double barrel mouse patterns, and it gives it a really nice durable coating that's flexible so it won't crack. I don't really coat them or paint them or do anything. It's just a super raw, you know, awesome popper with a really you know, aggressive cup that throws a ton of water. So, all right, time for some rubber legs. So I'm obviously doing this with this in the vise, and I just kind of like run it through, make sure that doesn't like freeze in there. Check the temperature, make sure you're not gonna like, you know, break your legs off because it's really hot. Another thing, these perfect rubber is super durable. It's crazy how durable this stuff is. I don't know if I've had a leg this, you know, it's just kind of the perfect predatory rubber leg, really. And they come in a pack that's like, this is probably 9 inches long. Like, it's crazy long. You could do some really cool stuff with that. I gotta play with it some more, but I like to run those up through there. Good to go, and make sure the lengths are even. Make one side slightly longer than the other. Come in with a little bit of glue, hit your whole cavity with some gel super glue, and then pull that inside the popper body just a little ways, and all those legs aren't going to get pulled out or move or shift on you, and you're good to go. So we'll put another set in here, and I'll send you on your way. So when you heat this up, if you just leave it in place, it'll kind of like adhere to that. So just give that a little bit of wiggle before it's done cooling down, and you'll get a smoother transition from putting the legs in here and pulling it through. And then you kind of just, once the legs are slightly in the hole, you flip the direction, pull them through, and you're good to go. Make this side a little bit longer. Booyah. And that is a faux bucktail popper. Faux bucktail, double barrel, dragon-eyed popper. Super slick, super easy, super simple. Really awesome for obviously throwing, you know, pike poppers, musky poppers, smallmouth bass poppers. I don't know why everyone throws like little 2-inch poppers for bass. If it was me, I'd be throwing these 7-inch poppers. But you know, hopefully you like that. Check it out. That Flashabou minnow body is a really awesome way to support that faux bucktail. Give it just that illusion of flair while giving you a intense core of Flashabou, and it's a really cool illusion. And then, you know, just getting that nice taper, using that craft fur, leaving the butts in, using kind of like a bulkhead technique to get some flare and bulk into that, and leaving shorter fiber so that you have a nice taper leading back into that popper body. So thanks for checking that out. Hopefully you found that interesting and kind of fun and a cool way to use the material. And you know, materials, any new material is going to have a learning curve to it. And hopefully these videos are helping you understand ways around, because you're going to want this to flare. You see it as bucktail, but it's not. It's synthetic bucktail. So don't just take this and try to replace every purpose bucktail has. I don't think you'll ever be able to do that. But understand just how applicable a 6-inch tapered synthetic fiber is, that's more durable, premium length, 100% usable, extremely consistent, and don't just, you know, hopefully that's what you get out of it, because that's what it is. And using, you know, material dams, using thread dams, using 1/8-inch, 1/4-inch body tubing, using Flashabou minnow body, using, you know, poppers but putting them in backwards as material dams, using the butts from the previous stack as a ramp. You know, all these little tricks to make the illusion of flare. It's really quite simple, and I'd recommend that thread bump. Makes a really big difference when you're tying this in. Spinning your thread and using that thread bump, it makes tying this in super easy. It's really easy to tie in when you do that. And I saw Blaine doing that in his faux bucktail tutorials, and it's helped me out quite a bit. So hopefully you enjoy that. Check out the new bucktail. Check out double barrel poppers. Check out Dragon Eyes, perfect rubber, Magnum Flashabou, Polar Flashabou, Flashabou minnow body, Ahrex hooks. How many different plugs can I put in here? Okay, that's enough of that. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found that useful, awesome, sweet little 7.5-inch Flashabou Pike Popper, extremely durable, and a really fun tie. So hopefully you like that. Check that out, and have a good day.